I am totally here. I just need to fix something. Whoa! Oh, that's not what I wanted at the time. There we are. That's too big. Okay, but I actually wanted a different one. I wanted this one. What's up, Rainbow Meowie? I'll be right back. I gotta eat this yogurt or I'm gonna pass out. Hi! Wait, where is it? Oh my gosh, where is it? Here it is. Don't pass out. Thank you. I mean, it would be pretty epic, but... Oh no. Alright. Excuse me. Oh no, I like coughed into the thing. Alright. W might join us later, but yo, what's good, gamers? What's good? My name is Dr. Ryan Charles, Psych Sensei, and welcome to Ryan Rants. Honestly, pick a topic, rant a little bit about it, see if I can talk about it for as long as I want and be entertaining and stuff like that. But if you want to learn more about me and what I do, please visit my website, psychsensei.com. There you can get all the resources. You can find my LinkedIn, my Twitter, my TikTok, my Instagram, my Facebook, all of it there at psychsensei.com. And if you want to define your win condition, start working towards it today, and you want sensei to walk past you, with you, past your problems, visit my website, psychsensei.com, and there you can fill out a free consultation form, and we can start working towards it today. Yeah. So, I guess it's... See, Dobby wants to come now. And also, if you want to ask me a question and take me off the beaten path, please do. I have to give Dobby a bath. He smells. But I love him. Alright, so. This is our messy mind map. We can go back to. What? Yes. Okay, let's zoom out. Alright, so it kind of started over... I can't read that? I don't think so, yeah. Alright, so it's kind of started over here. And then we started talking about mindsets. And like, well, first I thought, okay, well, is it a mindset limit? Is there a balance to mindset? Is that what you want? And then I found this article. And this article went into strengths and underuse and overuse of strengths and whatever. I was going to finish that. And if I don't connect other thoughts, we can totally talk about that. But that was a really cool rant. But the rant that I was thinking about today was like, okay, I was watching NACL, right? And NACL is like the tier 2 Challengers League for League of Legends. And they are currently in Brazil competing. So it's like North America and South America. And it was Cincinnati Fever was playing. They did a pretty good game 1. Then they got smushed game 2. Rip XU got ganked out of his... I think he invaded, though. But he got ganked twice. I think it was his jungle. Got ganked twice, and the game was, like, really rough after that. But from that perspective, I mean, when that thing happened and I was watching it unfold, it got me thinking, right? And the thing I'm thinking about is, like, okay, you know when you're playing your game and it's not going so well? Like, it's not going well at all. Do you ever take time to think about, oh, I'm just sulking right now. There's other things that I could be doing that might be more helpful than sitting here just being sad or upset. You know, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't feel sad and upset because, like, that's gaming, baby. You should totally feel sad and upset. I would feel sad and upset, too. But it really got me thinking about, like, what are you thinking about during those times? So, I guess the first bubble is... like, for example, are you just, like, generally upset? Okay, you could be generally upset or, you know, all up in your feels. Which is totally valid. It's totally valid. Again, the whole thing with Ryan Rambles is there's no judgment, baby. There's just curiosity and questions and thinky thoughts. That's all it is. Alright, so you could be generally upset. You could be all up in your feelings. You could be... Here's another one. Okay. And then here's the other question. You could be stuck in the mistake, like, oh man, if I didn't do that, it'd be so much better. I was so stupid. I'm so bad. Blah, 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 blah. I guess, like, Label-ly? Is it with a Y? Label-ly? Label-ly. Do you get self-label-ly if you do all that? Blamey. I guess the other one could go here, yeah. Because now we're talking about direction. Ooh, now we're getting places. Okay. Okay, that would just be yourself, right? Self, and then the label-ly. I guess that's two different bubbles. Self, label-ly. Okay, it could go on like teammates. They're so stupid. It could go on enemy. Oh my god, that's so illegal. How can they do that? Or it could just go in general game. Oh my god, that's so broken. That's so busted. Don't worry, we'll come back to this. It's important to talk about. Alright. So, for example, alright, where do you get stuck in the mistake? If you do, where do you get stuck? Okay? Or do you get... Oh, and again, this is what we use time, right? We can talk about in time. This is the past, baby. Okay? Or do you get stuck in the future? How would you describe this, getting stuck in the future? I mean, yeah, you can get tilted for both, but the reason that you're tilted about this one is like, oh, it's so much harder. I wish there was a word for this. I'm just gonna put it here like that, though. I mean, when I think of it, it's like, it's the, I can't let go of the thing that I wanted for the future. It's not so much like, I guess it's like, I mean, I'm gonna write this here too. This is like the shtick. Like, it's not, how do I describe that? Because, if you're afraid, if you're like upset about like how hard the game is, or you can't do certain things by a certain time now, or how much stronger they are right now, that stuff is like too much into the future. That's why I say like you can't let go of the future, because if you get stuck there, you're like stuck in a future that doesn't exist yet, because the things that need to happen for that future to happen didn't happen. So that future either is going to take a little bit more time to achieve, it's gone, or it's not going to look like the thing that you imagined in your head. But I don't know another word of can't let go of the future than more than one word. So that's where it's going to go. Alright, so this is your moment of awareness. Right? Say you die. Your whole team gets wiped. Something bad happens. You lose the game. Maybe not lose the game. We'll take this as, if time is a context, we'll take in the middle of the game. This is in the middle of the game. This is happening. This is not like pre or post. It's just like the middle of the game. Alright? So, middle of the game, you die. Gray screen. What are you thinking about? Are you just in their feelings? Are you thinking at all? Oh. That's another one. That's really interesting. I mean, if I have met a person, and they said that they have no inner dialogue, and that their insides are just quiet. I'm like, bro, that must be so peaceful. I wish I could think like that, or like have the natural inclination of just like Zen-like peacefulness. My inside my head is so chaotic. There's always something going on. It's too much sometimes. You know, so like to have that Zen natural inclination would be so nice. But are you thinking at all? Are you just in the feelings? And if you are thinking, are you thinking about, like, where are you thinking in the relativity of time? Are you thinking about things in the past? And are you thinking about things in the future? And then another thing is, maybe this is like a totally different, these aren't even correct. I mean, it's correct, but it doesn't go here. Maybe this is its own thing, you know? I try to put it over here. Aw. Dang it. That's all weird. Okay. I guess self is bigger now. It goes here, I think. Okay, and if, like, I guess this is a where. And this is the, ooh, now we're breaking it down. This is the when, right? This is, I think this is the when too. When part 2. This is who. Oh yeah, where is it? I guess, no, this is what, I guess. Yeah, where is fine. I think this is where you would category it. Who, what, when, where. And I guess you can do why. If you're thinking about why. That makes me think. If you're thinking about the why, how fast does it turn into, it's their fault? blame, and then you run it through the same screen. Who blame? I guess another thing that is to kind of think about on that same notice too is like, oh, is it like the difference between blame and accountability, right? Like, what's the difference between holding someone accountable for something and blaming somebody for something? Maybe, I guess, like, holding someone accountable for something is like if you had discussed it, we had agreed upon it, and like that was the thing you're supposed to do, or that I expected you to do, that we both mutually came to a conclusion and talked about, that this is what I need from you, and this is what you said, this is what I need from you, this is what I said, this is what you need from me. We handshake on it and we kind of expect it. Maybe that's like, okay, we talked about this, I'm gonna hold you accountable for doing this thing. Versus like, I guess blame too is there, because I mean, with holding someone accountable, like, there's not that negative a connotation. I mean, there is, maybe, but there's not like, oh, I'm holding you accountable versus like, I'm blaming you for this. I guess it's like ascribing fault. But even with blame, I mean, but even with holding accountable, you are like basically telling them they did wrong, right? But I guess it's a more negative connotation at blame versus holding someone accountable. I really do think it's the we talked about this. But blame is like, you messed up and it's all your fault and it's over now. It's broken. Perhaps. Perhaps. Alright. Alright. This is the how, though. Okay. So this is what I was thinking about. This is all just for fun. But really what I was thinking about was, okay, when you're sitting down in that gray screen, getting all upset. Now, I'm going to preface this conversation with, this works better when you're in a team and, like, you have full comms and you kind of have a general respect for each other and you guys all know that you generally want to win the game together and stuff like that. Like, that's the preference of the story. Like, I think all these things are totally fair to have and to experience when you're dead in solo queue and you're thinking all this stuff. But like when you're in a team and you have full comms and we can talk about this stuff, this is what I'm talking about. That's the context. Now, this is a totally different conversation if you're by yourself playing solo queue and just running it down. Like, that's a totally different thing. But if we're talking about team comms or a team skill, this is it. All right. Say you go through all these stages of grief when you're dead. Okay. The goal would be to talk about, okay, there needs to be some type of, like, awareness or grounding. Because, like, I think someone needs to say, or someone just needs to be that person and be like, it sucks here. That was bad. We got aced. Or, like, we all died. Or, like, we fumbled a dragon or a really big objective or something that would have really helped us. We, like, fumbled it. Okay, fine. I think there needs to be a moment of, like, awareness, grounding, or, like, acknowledgement. Because I think, like, you need somebody to be like, this is real. And someone to admit that, like, it's not all sunshine and rainbows, but at the same time, it's not all doom and gloom. You know what I mean? Like, I think someone just needs to be like, this is what it is. Oh yeah, that's like step one. I think step two after that is we need to move forward. Or, okay, there's different ways. I think these are components. Maybe instead of like a flow, I want you to think about this as like components to the discussion, not like A to B to C to D. This is like, okay, you can mix and match however you want to, free flow it into your gray screen conversation. But I think just having these components in the gray screen or discussing these components while you're dead, even to yourself, might be really helpful. Okay. Okay. Excuse me. That was disgusting. All right. I think one of the first components that you might want to consider is like having some type of status check. And what I mean status check is like it's going to be really important to discuss, hey, this is my game right now. This is how strong I am. This is what I need to become strong. I need this much items. I need these resources so I can play my game. Like, if teams are able to provide this type of information to each other to understand the state of each other's games so they know what they're playing for, who needs resources, or how much time that player might need, or how much time the team needs to get there, or like to actually survive or whatever. I think that's one. All right. Also, this status check is this is really what it does. It just sets the reality of the game of like, this is where it is objectively. There is no blame. It's just objective truths. Just to give us a good, like, an understanding of what we are, what we need to do. That's all you really need. You just need this type of status check. Okay. This is where we are. This is where I am. This is where we are. I guess you could even, like, progress. I mean, that's it too. That could also be a part of it. It could also act as a, like, the current progress of the game and, like, the state of our win cons. Like, okay, well, we died here. It's bad. Win condition is still good. Or do we need to change win condition or what have you? I think that's really important. And we don't need to hold. Maybe we can hold people accountable here. Like if we handshake agreements and stuff like that. But the whole thing is not like to judge or to blame anybody for like messing up. It's just like, okay, this is what's happening. We should do these things instead. Okay. Then I think after that is like talking about, all right, this is what the team is doing. This is what the enemy team is like doing really good or doing really, really bad. And this is how they're killing us. Or this is how our win cons are not very good right now. I think that's some type of enemy. Oh, I guess like this is. I guess these are like supposed to go without saying. But I think these comms need to be moving forward and be like future focused on what you want to have in like now to one. That's the time frame. So I think like if you keep these things future focused and meaning like future, meaning like if you want to get specific now to about 1 minute 30 seconds to the future, like that's where it's all aimed. There's no judgment or whatever. We're just talking about what we need to be doing as a team. What's another thing? I had it. Oh my gosh. Okay. Alright. This is definitely the third one. This is the last one. You can do, I think, the status check and the enemy's habits and stuff. I mean, you could also throw in, like, what we're doing. You can, but I feel like this probably gets talked about in, like, the status check. What we're doing and how... Maybe this is accountability. Maybe this is accountability, because you're like... Again, you want to remove blame and judgment, right? Not to get defensive, but at the same time, you need to hold people accountable to make new plans and things like that. All right. So I think I personally would say this one comes first, where you're like, okay, we're all dead, or I died. Okay, what is the lay of the land right here? Objectively, who is strong? Who is weak? What is our, like, what items I need? Who are the people that need items or scaling or whatever? Like, that is the first thing to do, because I think once y'all feel bad, you're going to need to snap into reality of like, okay, now that we're here, what's happening? So have that status check. And then after that, I think the next thing you can review, because depending on how much time you have, because I'm like, what, it's a minute maybe? A minute's a lot of time, but maybe you have like 30 seconds. Don't worry, you'll get more efficient at this process once you keep doing it more often. But after that, I think it's either a team check about how we're doing on our win condition, what needs to change, or what's doing really good, who's strong, etc. And then you can talk about the enemy check, like what's their strategy, how it's been going, what's been not working against them. And then after that, I think you just need one person or the team to say like, okay, we just need to focus on this one thing. Like, we just need to take dragon, or we're like, we just need to, like, get this item, or, like, make sure we can play to this time, or something specific that's, like, future-focused, and not blamey, judgy, or, like, focus on the past. I think that's, like, the most effective, or could be, like, a super effective gray screen discussion for your team. I mean, I guess if you were going to apply this to, like, yourself, by yourself... I still think the status check works, honestly. I still think you can ground yourself in what's happening right now and then kind of figure it out. Like, okay, this is where I am, although I wanted this. Like, this is what's real now. I'm sad that I died, blah, 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 blah. Okay, what do I need to do? Another thing that, okay, so, yeah, what I need to do. All that kind of stuff. Like, you can still do this. What's my objective? Like, truth of the game, the pace of the game. What can I be doing? I guess, like, okay, I guess like the inner game, right? Like these are all the things that it works towards, but the inner game is actually this, right? That's all this is doing. Like all this discussion, sure, all these components are great, but I think like the reason why you need to have them is because by talking about these different things, it just really sets the expectations of everyone on the team. It sets like what sense of influence and control you might have of the game, the time. People call this tempo of the game, and when you can do stuff, and when the enemy can do stuff, and when it's safe to do stuff. Uh, it helps set the expectations for what behaviors and actions need to happen and who is responsible for such behaviors and actions. Is there another one? I think these are the biggest ones. Like, that's why... Oh, am I doing this? Is we create... And then at the end of the day, this is what it is, right? I mean, if you want to bring in some other words... We bring that into. I mean, this is the reason. This is like, all these are great. And this is the why, right? Okay. Follow the bouncing ball. I trust me. There is a connection here. All right. So I know we just discussed like what you could be thinking in that gray screen, but really the entire reason why you want to do these things or like consider these things or talk about these things, the reason, the why is like, all it does is do this. It just sets your expectations of what the game is now and how to play it and how to move forward and what's okay and what's not okay and what's our new strategy to win. That's it. Because if you don't have this conversation or think about these different types of things, people have a tendency to like sit and do nothing or just wait for the game to come to them or just kind of stew on stuff instead of actively thinking how to win and get and improve their position. That's all this is. But I mean, if you really think about it, like from a different perspective, all a gray screen is just timeout. Where you've been put on like gaming timeout for a mistake or something that you did wrong, or something happened, or you sacrifice yourself and now you're dead, so you're in timeout, right? If it's timeout, we can be sad and upset and just focus our energy on how stupid timeout is and why I got here and whose fault it is that I'm in timeout. True, you can, and you know, totally effective. At the same time, the entire reason why or the logic behind why we want to put children in timeout is so they can collect themselves, refocus their energy and attention, and then choose to do something else. Or like calm down, forget about it, and have a good time on the playground, not like hit anybody. But if we don't do the same kind of thing in our gray screens, whatever, you know, a life provides us with many gray screens. Maybe you failed a test, maybe you broke up with somebody, maybe, you know, I don't know, literally you lost LP, you got cut from a team or whatever. Like, what do you do during those gray screens? Do you just focus on all the negativity or how you're bad or whatever? Or do you also have your own process to go through to really examine the reality, how it affects you, your resources at your fingertips that you may utilize so you can improve your position, or help you ground you in this moment of like, okay, this is real. These things are not real. I'm making this up in my head. This is my patterns, all these kinds of things. And then how are you able to plan for the future, just not too far, but just like for the next minute and a half, metaphorically. I think that's the funnest thing, because if you can copy and paste this like whole approach from League or whatever and put it in life, that's like the whole entire idea of why we play games, right? And at the same time, the entire reason why we're walking through this thing is it helps you reset your expectations of what you can expect playing the game. And then another expectation for life is like, okay, how fast do you believe that improvement happens? And if you have ADHD, unlucky, you also have a warped perception of time. So if that's true, then your perception of how fast, because that's time, it takes you to improve or get good at something gets warped too. So, sucks, but that's all it is too. For example, like if you expect, say you do this assessment, right? Your early game composition of heroes or champions. And you face a late scaling composition of champions, for example, right? On the late scaling composition of champions, aka champions to get stronger over time, they need items, they need gold, they need resources, versus champions that just come out the gate swinging because they have better numbers. And they need to maintain those numbers so they can just continue to snowball forward. If not, they fall off and then the game's over. They get dragged out into deep water. Think of this kind of like an endurance fight versus like something that just needs to knock you out in the first 5 minutes. Same kind of concept. Your expectations, for example, if you're an early game composition, but you do not do the early game good, you die, you don't get all the minions you need, you're not scared, like you don't get the things that you need or the resources you need to become strong to carry into the mid game. And now we've come to the point where the late game composition has maybe scaled up and gotten a little stronger to compete with you. All right, you all die. What do? You now have to think, okay, the game that I wanted to play, the one where I'm really, really strong in the early game and mid game, is kind of, but not really here anymore. Okay, that future that I wanted to, that was so beautiful, that had us like smushing in 20 minutes. Yeah, after love you, bye, kiss that good one, go like goodbye, because that's not real anymore. The reality is that we're getting choked out from these things, or we can't kill them, or something. And this is reality game now. We are now, instead of looking at a 20-minute game, maybe we need to try to end this in like 27 minutes because that's our max power. Okay, if that's true, how can we get closer to getting strong enough to do that by 27 minutes? Okay, then what's the first step of where we are to get closer to that reality that's more possible? Okay, this person needs this item. Okay, I need a farm to get this one. They might try to get this dragon. We're not strong enough to get it, so we're going to give this one and play for this tower. So, like, it just resets your expectations of what's okay to do, who's doing what, and how to get, again, one step closer. Not like win the game or fix the entire thing, but at least get closer to where we want to be instead of just laying on the ground. That's it. And same thing with life. All this does, when you take a moment to take a moment to breathe, reassess in your gray screen, and objectively get the lay of the land, all you're really doing is resetting your expectations, shaking yourself off, and continuing on. And I guess from that perspective too, it's like, you get to think about this like on your own, or do you need something to whack yourself in the face to like, oh damn, I need to think about this? I don't know. But yeah, that was what I was thinking about. And then here's the other thing too. What do you do? Okay, there's another question, yeah. Okay, here are two other times to think about this. What was that thing called? Score screen. I think that's another interesting one, because now we're talking about time, right? Like if we talk about the gray screen, unlucky, but that's more like present, right? And I think this is like the pre. And then this would be like post, right? If you think about science and shit, and like when you're collecting data and what it looks like, that's what we're talking about here. So, if that's what we're talking about, you know when you're in the loading screen, and this happens like, I guess in solo queue too, but you're doing this in like draft for like comp. But like for you individually, the question is, okay, what are you thinking about? What are you thinking about in the loading screen? Like, are you thinking about like, oh man, I'm kind of hungry, or dude, I need some water, or like I'm so thirsty, or like man, I'm kind of tired, or are you just scrolling on your phone? Like, the next time you start your game, try to find yourself and see like where you are. Sorry, I got lost. So, what I'm thinking about is like, okay, when you're in the loading screen, are you thinking about the team, your team? Oh, I guess we go down this hole again. Your team, enemy team. So now we're talking about direction again, right? Alright, start here. Well, first of all, are you thinking? Yes or no? But if you are thinking, are you thinking about, okay, this is what my team wants to do. This is my win condition. This is like we're playing this kind of composition. This is the thing that we really want to do. This is the thing that like this is how we want to take fights. All this kind of stuff, like analyzing it. And then you can even think about like when we want to take fights, what level we want to take fights, like how our team scales, like all those kinds of things, right? Or you can think about the enemy team in the same way. All right, the enemy team wants to do this. I have to watch out for this one character. They have side lane pressure. They want to do picks. They want to do front to back team fights. You know, you're analyzing the team. Or are you just thinking about yourself? Like, I want to play this game and then I'm going to dominate, or I want to make sure I focus on this thing. And I'm sure there's a bunch of things that you go through. And I hope that there is. I really hope that loading screen is a mindful process. But what I mean is, like, okay, what is the system? Okay, I think from here, the question is, okay, what is your systems for setting your expectations for how the game is going to go? And the reason I'm using expectations is because we went through this whole thing, right? Like, I guess we can make another link here. It's all about setting your expectations. So, how are you are setting your expectations in the loading screen for what the game is going to be like? Of course, we don't know how our teammates are going to be, or how they're going to act, or what's the jungler going to do if they don't get what the jungler's going to do if they don't get a leash, or you like get first blooded, or they get towered, or whatever. But like, okay, just from this composition of champions for League of Legends, what can you expect the game to be? Just by like time-wise, those kinds of things. All those kinds of things. Like, all this. Like, just from the champion select. After you lock it in, what are you thinking about? If you're not thinking about these things, I highly encourage you to think about it. Think about them. Because, again, you can set your expectations at the time of the game, how you want to do certain things, and you're also engaging your brain and actively thinking about it. I mean, basically, you're doing science, right? You have a hypothesis of, like, okay, these champions should bang heads and clash this way, and then for the next 30 plus minutes, I'm going to play this game and actually see what happens when these two things bang their head against each other. That's it. Or like when I do this, what happens? You know, that's all you're going to do. Again, if we can remove judgment and all those kinds of things out of it, it's a cleaner experiment, so don't tilt and all that stuff. But like, that's basically all you're doing. Then, at the end of your game, okay, what are you focused on to at the end of your game? I guess it will be. I guess we can, yeah. We can add this here. I feel like it's cheating, but I guess it's more relevant here, so I'm gonna go here. Okay. All right, so boom, game. Nexus booms. Hopefully your enemies Nexus goes boom. What are you focused on? What are you thinking about in this score screen? Score screen after, of course, all the yays we won, or the oh I shit on that guy, like or like oh I got shit on, whatever. Like after all those emotions, what are you looking at? Do you insta go to the damage chart just to cope to say like I did the most damage? Are you going back as a support looking at all your wards to say like but it's okay because I put all my wards out? Hey, that's fine. Especially if your goal was to put down more wards. Hey, that's cool. You know, so what are you mainly focused on when you go to the score screen? Or if you're focused on anything, I hope through this discussion, it's at least the takeaway is, oh, I should be thinking about certain things during these certain times. And if that's it, that's a win. But really, once you push past the emotions, what are you focused on? What are you thinking about? Here's another one. What was your metric of success? I think, for example, it could be CS. It could be not dying. It could be kills is a bad one. If you're a support, it could be assists or whatever. The game provides you. Sorry, I think it's important to understand that the game gives you a certain set of numbers to look at, or a certain set of numbers the game finds valuable. However, I think it's important to say that sometimes the game does not track the things that are actually giving you the success in game. So for example, the game has a really hard time scoring position. The game has a really hard time like scoring all the, like these small little nuances like posturing or whatever in game that can influence how you do and the score. So yes, use the game and see the metrics that it's giving you. At the same time, take caution to make sure that those are the correct metrics that you want to set for yourself as improvement. But if you're a noob like me, CS score is just fine. Ward score is just fine. But again, if you're looking for something else, just know that the number might not be in there because the game's not designed to track it. With that other one, the other thing that is going to be really important that you think about is like, what do you want to remember from each game? Like, what do you want to take away? Not just like, yay, I won, or the points. The question is, all right, what do you want to take away from this experience that you can generalize, remember, apply to a future game, tomorrow, today, whenever? Because each of these games, it doesn't matter if you win or lose, because, I mean, if you even use, like, a bell curve, you should mathematically come back to the center. That's why, like, if you go on a crazy win streak, you're probably due for a crazy loss streak because, like, or and vice versa because mathematics, right? But instead of the math and the wins and losses and points, what's that skill, mindset, piece of confidence, whatever you want from this game that you want to account for so you can do it again next time. My suggestion here is that, like, you write it down. You write it down on a piece of paper by hand. That would be best, I think. But at least on a spreadsheet or something that you can remember that I want to make sure I don't forget this, that I can do it again, that I saw that I could do this game, to be consistent. Because the thing with improvement is that, like, if you do it, try to track it yourself, you have a really hard time even acknowledging that you did it or that you're going in the right direction. Or most people, it's a very common issue. So if that's a problem for you, making sure that you create experiences or spaces for you to remember how well you're doing and what you're doing, it's going to definitely help. Another thing is, like, it's nice to see actually that you've tracked something and go back and read it so you can actually see how you progressed and grew or got stagnant or your own process, because it's going to be important that you refine that process so you can continue to grow and you see your little log of, oh my god, this is all the progress I've been making. And then if you want to, this is a little bit extra. Alright, the extra thing is, okay, what do you want to do in the next game? From this one game, what do you want to do? Like, that's your actionable step, right? We're kind of borrowing this, like, presence gray screen model, and we're shoving it into a post. So, alright, if this was true, what do you want to do? And remember and replicate or try to continue your experience. I think that's going to be really important. But see how at each different time frame, you need different things? Is it a present thing? Is it a pre-experience thing? Is it a post-reflection thing? And notice the whole goal of this thing. A, create expectations and remove judgment, thus increasing confidence. Yeah? Because I was really thinking about, like, man, I really wonder if people talk about this, or if people, like, think about this in the game, like, when they're dead, or, like, what people do think about, because the only times you get to really understand it is when you hear people's comms after and what they focus on, you know what I mean? But you don't really get to think in someone's head, like, oh, what system do they run when something bad happens? Or the other thing I was thinking about is, like, okay, you know when a team over pushes and they they overextend, or they kill everybody and they're trying to push the core, or like push inners, and then the other team respawns, has their items, they're stronger, and they mop them up in their own base, right? Okay, what I thought about was, like, do teams, when they're on the receiving end and they're on the defense because it's not their turn, right, and the enemy is pushing into them, that they say, like, okay, look, we're going to lose outers, or we're going to lose this one and this one, or we're going to lose inhibs, or, like, do they ever say, like, okay, these are acceptable losses of what's going to happen? Or, like, okay, they're going to take the dragon, we just want to play for time, or whatever. Like, I wonder if those are comms. Or, because the reason I'm wondering that is because, like, by setting the expectations of, like, these are acceptable to lose, so we don't have to, like, really try and, like, overextend to save them. Or do people just assume, like, oh, it's going down, I need to fight all the time, you know? But by setting the expectations of the team, then my guess would be that they would have better synergy and know what to do, instead of, like, what looks like griefing and just going out and trying to get a kill or whatever. But then that made me think about this and these questions in these types of situations, or when would be times to have these discussions. I mean, the answer is, like, hopefully in scrims, or, like, even just talking as a team, right? Like, building the system out and then implementing it. But I guess also, like, day of, you could run them through these things. But even just for yourself, trying to think about what the system is in your head, and then being able to fill in the holes. I think that's, like, that's it, baby. Whew. Fun. Alright, friends. I think that was my complete thought. I mean, I hope it was explained well, or at least rambled on in a cohesive way. I'll save this. Gray screen questions. Save. Alright. Well, that was a lot. Maybe I can talk about it in a different way and flip it inside and out. But the thing I was really wondering about was, like, dang, will I ever run out of things to think about and, like, talk about? Or am I just all full of shit because I can talk for an hour? I don't know. But it's up to you. Alright, friends. Well, thanks for coming to the stream and hanging out. I'm going to go eat dinner. And then maybe give my dog a bath because he smells. But I hope you learned something, and at least you have some questions to ask yourself when you do die, or before you go into a game, or as soon as you get out of a game, to think about, to increase your awareness, grow, develop, do all those good things. And remember, be kind to yourself, non-judgment. That's the entire practice. So be kind to yourself, learn something, be a little more intentional, all those good things. All right, I will be back tomorrow, I believe, around 7, and maybe we'll go back to the other one that I was doing about ego, because that was really interesting. I was just watching that game and I was like, I gotta think about this out loud. So I see you tomorrow, 7 p.m. PST, and be safe, be chill, and then love you. Pieces. Bye. Shout out to Raymond Meowie. Thanks for coming out, girl. I was a fan.